We have about 355 students. We gross about around the 80,000 gross mark every month. Like when people have money, they have less time. But when you don't have money, then you have more time. So I would say, second person, leverage your time a lot. Talk to your spouse or if you have someone, tell them that I just need to do this for this amount of time so we can get out of this. And then from there, we can bring on other things. So that's what I like about you guys. Take a lot of stuff off my plate, but also you still give me and my team guidance to go the right direction.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me here today. Jennifer Waters, and today I'm joined by Mr. Johnny Ahmed. It's good to have you here today, sir. How you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Johnny has, he's actually done a phenomenal job running his school, Richmond Martial Arts. It's a fantastic school in BC, Canada, British Columbia area. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about where you guys are at currently, like how many students you have, kind of revenue that you're pulling in, and we can start from there and then we can go back into your background. So yeah, just let everybody know a little bit more about your school.
Yeah, so I have a school in Richmond, British Columbia, which is inside of Vancouver. We have about 355 students. We gross about around the 80,000 gross mark every month. I run the school full time and have a big team, so it allows me to still travel and then enjoy my family time. And so it can have it's kind of like a little machine I have running, which is good, and I can jump in and out as I please.
Yeah, it really you're living the dream as a martial arts school owner, but I'm sure that it didn't start that way, right? So tell us a little bit about your background. How'd you get into martial arts training? How'd you become a school owner? Let's dive into that.
Sure, I'll do a short version, but I don't want to go boring for people. But anyway, I started in the 90s, watching Van Damme and Chuck Norris, those kind of guys. Basically it was Van Damme. I think he was really becoming popular at that time, and I just watched all his movies, and then I was just I have to do this, right? And then so then eventually I got my parents to enroll me. And back then I lived in a small town. I didn't live in Vancouver. I lived in a smaller town outside of Vancouver, 8-hour drive. So there's not much there to do. So I just trained every single day, non-stop training. And then as my career, martial arts and competing, everything was going, I started to see some successful school owners in my organization who were kind of living the dream. So I said, I'm going to try that. The only problem is I went in with no experience, no guidance. I didn't ask anything. I just said, I'm just going to do it myself. And I just kind of looked at what other people had done, but I didn't pay attention to the fact that not everybody's doing a proper business. So my first school, first I started in an elementary school, just teaching twice a week just for fun, just to get my feet wet. And then eventually I did kind of open up a rental facility in an area. And then, but again, I was not charging enough. I was not, I was doing everything wrong. So eventually ended up having to exit that school. But by then, I was in debt. I had credit problems, everything. It was bad. But I had the perseverance that I knew this was my calling. So slowly, I eventually moved here to Richmond, and I opened up the school from scratch. But this time when I opened that school, I had all the mistakes I had made. So this time I'm going in with not making those mistakes, right? So then that's kind of how it started. And then that was 17 years ago since I opened my school. And we've gone through a lot of transitions where I just had a small 1,200 square foot facility at the beginning with a little bit of lower rent. And I was by myself, no students, zero. No one knew me in the town because I had because my goal was to is if I'm gonna start again, I'm gonna go somewhere where no one knows me, so I can start from scratch, fresh new lifestyle, right? So that's why I couldn't have any other students follow me because it was too far to drive. But I literally had to start from scratch to see, can I do this? But then the 1,200 square foot, we outgrew it, so then I got a 3,500 square foot, which was just by knocking down the wall next door.
Wow.
And then we outgrew that, and then we moved behind the building to a 6,000 square foot facility, which we're at now. And even that facility now, we're looking to see if we can take over another unit next door to make it even bigger. That's kind of that's a quick little snapshot of it.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. That's incredible. You mentioned perseverance. Do you feel that's a really important characteristic for, let's say, a school owner's watching this, and maybe their story is similar to yours. They're in debt up to their eyeballs. They feel kind of hopeless. What got you to go to that next level when so many people quit?
Well, you definitely need to have good mentors and guidance as well. Like I said, when I went into it, I didn't know what I was doing. So then I got some guidance from people who were ahead of me in the game. And that really helped me kind of not get distracted, just kind of focus on, okay, I wanted to focus on a few things to grow it, right? Which was just, back then it was grassroots. It was just going to businesses, putting the rack bars, it was going to the trade shows, going to the parades, just something that didn't cost that much, right? That's kind of how I started. But again, I would say you need mentors and guidance, people who've been there, done that, kind of guide you. Yeah, that's kind of I think think was my main thing. And also open-mindedness. I was very open-minded to anything. So like if they said, hey, I did this and I got this results, that worked. I had a friend in the States, because we were pretty near the border, and he would always give me advice on how to, but back then when I was just starting out, he had a big school. So I would drive all the way to his school as much as I could and just watch the fly on the wall, watch what he did, take notes, ask him, say, hey, why do you do this, why do you do this? And then I come back and implement it. So I'd say that's another part two is when you learn stuff from people who are ahead of you, you have to implement it too. That's important too.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've appreciated about you as a client. Like when we're talking, and you have such an open mind. And you know, if I do mention something and it's something you're not doing, immediately you're doing it like the next week. So I think that taking action from the ideas that you get, like a lot of people can get a ton of ideas, but they never take action. Is there something that you tell yourself to actually get in the mode to take action, or is it just something that just a habit you've created?
So I have right now at this stage of the game, because I'm not so connected to the school, I have 100 ideas I'm exploding. So what I try to tell myself is you have to say no. You have to be good at saying no. So I try to stay with only the stuff that's going to move the needle. So I try to just basically the basics. I always find like if I just stick with the basics, you can't go wrong, right? So, and sometimes I want to fine tune the basics. So that's why I might like have one of my staff book a coaching call with you guys just so they can refine the systems. But I find that like on my phone, I have my to-do list, like what I have to do done. So I kind of just like put in like what I know, okay, I need to do this. So like if you give me coaching idea that I'm not doing, so first thing I'll do, I'll put my phone in the to-do list. Then that way I know I won't forget it, because things happen, you get busy. But then I look at it every day, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And then what I do is I look at it, I go, look, okay, so is that something I should be doing now? Or should I just still be doing the basics? Because I don't want to get distracted either, right? Because there's no point doing something advanced if my basics are not there. So I try to like work my way to like these bigger projects I do, which I wouldn't do like unless like I'm in my stage of the game. But yeah, so I try to like, again, always go back to the basics, which is only a few pillars that a martial arts school should be doing consistently. If you just do that, you'll be successful, right? All the other stuff is just extra when you're like big enough to handle that. But yeah, just I like I said, like I forget stuff. So my to-do list on my phone, I look at that like every 5 minutes. I'll look at that because that's how I keep myself on track. And then what I'll do is I'll report my results. When I have the meeting, the coaches call, whoever I'm talking to, I'll say, yeah, so this is what happened so far. I tried this. But again, like, yeah, I try to stay focused by writing down what I need to be focused on.
What kind of secrets or tips do you feel that you've implemented in your school to help grow your student count and your revenue? Let's do 2 stages. Like when you first got started, what were some secrets or tips that you implemented and you saw big growth? And then we can maybe go back the last year, secrets and tips. So let's start from the beginning, like from 0 to 100. What were some things that you did?
So I guess when I first opened the school, when I had 0 students, like I had not even like signed the lease, I chose the name of my studio that would be very Google friendly. So I chose the city with martial arts, because I knew people would be typing karate, martial arts, kickboxing, martial arts. They would be putting the name of the city with martial arts. I knew that ahead of time, just because I have a computer background. So I understood like search engine, all that. So I said, okay, I'm going to call Richmond Martial Arts, because then that way, organically, people, when they type it, at least I'm going to pop up somewhere in the queue, right? Yeah. And from there, when I opened the school, like I said, like when I have no income coming in, I'm the only person. My main thing was like just putting rack cards out, and also going to large events where there was like 80,000 people already attending. Mm-hmm. And that really kicked me off. Is the first time I went to like a trade show that had like tons of people. It's called Canada Day Parade in our town. And then I just had a booth there, and then I just had my clipboard, and people would come in and I'd go, yeah, I'm offering you a free class. They would put their name on that clipboard. And that was my first time doing it. This was back in 2007. And I was blown away that I had like 12 people then who had signed their name. And then those 12 actually showed up. And then I think like 90% signed up. So I was just blown away that I was able to get those results, but just doing something that took a little bit of work and me just kind of standing there for like a couple hours. So then I decided, okay, I'm always gonna. So now like 18 years later, I'm still doing that same event now. Even though I'm bigger, I still pay homage to that event, and I show up all the time. And I'm always there. Like I won't always be there all day. I'll be in and out. But when I'm there, I'm giving my respect to that event, because that event started me. Like that one of the people who signed up from the event allowed me to pay my rent for the first month, because I didn't have money to pay rent, and they paid it in full. So definitely, like when you're starting out, you have to go to the people. People won't come to you. You got to go to them. So go to all the events you can, just like put that in. So I would say like basically that's kind of like what did it. And obviously like internal things too, right? Like, when people are missing class, you call them and you go, hey, where are you? Good job notes. So, once you get them in, you got to keep them happy. That's the other thing I was doing, which doesn't cost anything, is sending a postcard, sending them a letter saying thank you for joining us, calling and go, hey, we missed this guy, miss you, right? It's a good. And then I started, when I implemented like movie nights and the pizza nights, that kind of like also created a culture where like, people will get more sticky to the business, because now we were creating like community events. Yeah. So those are all low key key things I did at that stage when I was like brand new.
Yeah. What about within the last, year or so? I think we've been working almost, I don't know, maybe a year together at this point, or close to that. So
yeah. Thank you.
What are some things that you've implemented, that you put in place, that have allowed you to grow over this last year?
So basically now, obviously, it's very like kind of like an internet type of lifestyle kind of thing, like very electronic. So like I said, we're still doing like the old stuff. I'm never going to lose that because those are my basics. But we've added layers now where like, you guys are running the ads. You have the virtual assistant making outgoing calls, things like that. So that allows my staff to more focus on customer service. So now instead of them calling all these leads, they can call students instead and say, hey, where are you? And that kind of stuff, and doing more kind of things. And then also like anytime my team and my sales team is coaching, they can jump on a call with you guys. And then again, like it's off my hands now. I don't have to be that person anymore. So yeah, so basically there's a lot of done for you work that you guys have done that's allowed me and my team to like work on other projects now and not be stuck doing like just like things we were doing at the beginning stage.
Yeah, so really being able to work on higher leverage type tasks and abilities is what I'm hearing. Yeah, I think one thing, I mean, you even did a master class for our clients on video content secrets, but that's something that in particular I definitely don't see a lot of people doing, but you seem to be crushing it when it comes to YouTube and organic content online, not just paid, but online. So what kind of got you started down that journey, and what are you doing now with that?
Yeah, so actually like back when I opened up my school back in 2007, I think around 2010, around there, kind of like when like cameras were kind of getting better and fancier, I just started documenting classes and stuff and started playing with it. And we just kind of like, we did a little bit of editing, but like, I don't think it was me, I think it was someone else. But basically back then, I just wanted to like document my journey, right? Just wanted to like capture stuff. And also, I like to advertise visually. I think back then, instead of a newspaper ad, I think it was more cooler if someone could see like a YouTube video running with class in action and all that, right? So back in 2010, I think that's when I opened up my channel. And then, so we basically just documented every event I've ever done. So if you went on my channel from 2010 to now, you would see like me, like in my 20s, how I grew up, in my 40s now, that kind of thing. You would see all the kids growing up. You would just see this huge scrapbook of like how I've evolved, because every event's been documented. Wow. But then what happened is when I think when COVID kind of that area came in, I kind of like more got into it, and I kind of took some courses and stuff about YouTube. And now the technology is so strong now AI is even layered, even stronger. So now my goal is every week I'm publishing content, and basically I'm doing two things. One is I'm creating educational content for parents. So then if they have a question about martial arts, if they're not sure they're on the edge, I have a bank of videos that can answer those questions for them. They can just go on my channel, they can see it all. And at the same time, I'm still documenting my journey. I'm still doing all the events and everything, but I'm doing it more of an entertainment way, where I'm doing proper editing, like all that subtitles, all that. But the cool thing about the YouTube is that it isn't paid, it is all organic. Like there is a paid version of it, but it's not very specific. It's like worldwide. So you'd be just kind of wasting your dollars. But what I like is like when I go on the computer and I type in Richmond Martial Arts, all my videos pop up organically. All my YouTube videos, they're all popping up. Yeah. So now instead of just seeing like text, people can see video, and then when they click that, it goes into my world, and then they can see this big 400, 500 like videos library in there. So I think it shows out a credibility that like of how much we're in the community. Because a lot of those events are community based too. It shows me out doing things. So yeah, so that's why I like YouTube, because it's a good way to get a return, but also it's like a time capsule. So all the history I've done, it's all captured forever. Like people can go back and they can see like how I started. It's like it's either a scrapbook time capsule, but it's kind of like you invest money, right? Like you're investing in footage, and then imagine like my kids when they're like my age, or if I'm out here, or their kids, they can go to my YouTube channel and go, hey, this is your grandfather, look what he did, right? They can see kind of like how I added value to my city.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, is there anything in particular, that you could say to somebody if they're considering working with 7FD? You've been on the inside of it for almost a year now. You were already crushing it at a high level before you joined, and now doing even more. What would you say to somebody that might be considering working with 7FD based off of your experience?
I would say it's gonna take off a lot. Okay, so it's gonna do two things. One, it's gonna take off a lot of things off your plate, so you can focus on the parts of your business that need more attention. So it's gonna be like adding like more arms to you, but also at the same time you're gonna have guidance of people who are like ahead of you, so you don't make the mistakes. So if you want to do something, you can get that advice, just kind of like how I started, right? Like if I didn't have someone guiding me or anything, like I would have went down the wrong path. I wouldn't be where I am today. So yeah, so that's what I like about you guys. Take a lot of stuff off my plate, but also you still give me and my team guidance to go the right direction. And also, just like anything in life, like if someone's already done something and is successful and you want what they want, just duplicate what they're doing, and then you'll see the same thing happen to you.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, Johnny, is there any tip that you would give somebody, like let's say right now they're struggling this month? I try to ask this question of our star clients. If they're a school owner's out there and he's struggling this month, what kind of tip would you give him right now that could potentially get him out of that struggle bus and moving forward?
Yeah, so like if you're saying struggling like financial, right? Is that what you mean? Like
yeah.
I mean, I know what that's like, because like I told you that story where like I didn't have money to pay my first month's rent when I signed the lease. They give me like I think I paid down 1 month deposit, but then they only give me 1 or 2 months free. But then when the rent was due, right? So luckily because I went out to that community event and I captured those people, and then one of them paid in full, that allowed me to that snowball. So I would say like if you're really like struggling and you don't know what to do, you just have to like go show your face to as many places as possible, make networks, make connections, and try to get your face, your brand out there somewhere, and just let people know you exist. And then try to get connections, like names and numbers, because once you have names and numbers, that's yours forever. No one can take that away. And then how you follow up with that's kind of like how it is. But yeah, I mean, because if someone's struggling for pay something, that means they don't have the money to like leverage anything, but they do have their time. Like like when people have money, they have less time, but when you don't have money, then you have more time. So I would say, struggling person, leverage your time a lot. Talk to your spouse or have someone, tell them that I just need to like do this for this amount of time so we can get out of this, and then from there, we can like bring on other things. But like just let everybody around you know what you're going through, and then what you're willing to like sacrifice to get what you want. And then if you know someone, like I'm talking to the person you're talking about, like the struggling. So if you know anyone more successful than you and doing what you want, like don't be afraid to like make friends and contacts with people, because every town has schools, but some are successful, some are not. So like I said, like when I first started, I knew a guy over the border, so I would really drive over the border like an hour away, and I just kind of this business school, ask questions. So ask lots of questions and just be around people who are like-minded like you and successful, and then from there, things will gravitate your way.
That's awesome. Great advice. Well, Johnny Ahmed, star client here at 7FD. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to share my knowledge to other people.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.